Okay. So, welcome everyone. My name is Anita Thompson of Art Venture Workshops, and I'm very happy to be here, sponsored by Morrisville Library. Um, and as I mentioned, this one was actually only picked by Morrisville. So when I send out programs, I send out quite a bit of programs, and the libraries get to look through and pick. So Morrisville picked this one, and I think it's a pretty fun one too. Also, I'll be sending new programs. This is for you, Jessica. New programs by Monday for the next set of months. And I'll be adding some more cute ones like this as well, along with paintings and, um, the colored pencils that we usually do and drawings and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get started. So I'm using 8.5 by 11 computer paper. You can use other kind of paper if you like, but that's what I'm using. So I'm going to move this over and we're going to get started. Oh, did I just see somebody come on? Nope. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just adjust my camera one more time. So excuse my adjusting so that you can see everything here. All right. So basically, we're going to be using our almost full sheet of paper. He's definitely going to be a bit bigger than my sample here. And you want to make sure that you are drawing lightly. I'll be drawing darker since it's on Zoom. And I'm just going to move my colored pencils to the side here and adjust one more time. Okay. All right. So we're going to get started with the top part of the mug. So basically, we're going to start off with a cylinder. And it's going to be an oval shape for the inside of the mug. So we're going to start probably maybe about halfway down our page. And I'm just going to adjust one more time so that you can see the other side as well. There we go. All right. So halfway down our page, and because we do want to make sure that we have room for our yummy marshmallows and our candy. He's pretty happy because look at all that sweet stuff. Um, I'd be pretty happy too. So we're going to draw our oval for our mug. So we want to make sure that the length of our oval is going to be bigger than the bottom part of our mug. And I'll show you what I mean if that's a little confusing for you. So starting off, again, maybe a little less than halfway down, we're going to start with our oval. You also want to make sure that you leave room on the right side for the handle. And also, as I mentioned, you want to be sure that you're drawing lightly because this is going to be filled with our goodies, our candy canes and I almost said mushrooms. I don't know why. I was thinking, well, marshmallows, it begins with an M. So now once you do that with the mug, you're then going to start off on the left side. And basically, your mug is going to start off sort of wide, and then it's going to taper a bit as you go down towards the bottom. So I want my mug to be a little bit wider here before it tapers. So about right there. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And I realize I want my mug just a little bit wider. So I'm fixing that right now. Yeah, I want it about that wide. Much better. So see how it tapers, taper down, and then at the bottom of your mug, You don't want to go completely flat with your line. You want it to be sort of curving a bit. And then fix any lines that don't make any sense for you anymore with your mug. Make sure you take a look and you like what you see, because we're then going to add the handle on. And we're going to start first with the inside of the handle. So we're going to go over to the right side of your mug, and you're going to come down, well, quite a bit, because you want to make sure that you can have the top of the mug about right here. So if you want, you can make a curve right here for the top of the mug. And then we're going to go down and start with the inside of the mug. And so you'll start with kind of a half circle. That half circle is going to extend downward, and then it's going to join up again with the right side of your mug, just like this. So this is the inside of the mug. This area right here is the space between your mug and your handle. So good to see everybody this evening. And even if I don't see you, I know you're there. So once you have that shape, you're then going to do the outside shape of your handle. Remember to attach it like so. And we're going to make it look three-dimensional by adding this curved line right here. And then if you need to fix anything on this side, you can do that now. Okay. And the next thing we want to do is we're going to go inside our mug, and we're just going to add another oval, a smaller oval, a thinner one, for sort of the interior of the mug, kind of like not the lip of the mug, but it's kind of the inside. And so you'll see me doing that right now. And you want to make sure to do that even in the front right now, because even though our marshmallows and our candy canes will be kind of covering it, you do want to make sure that it's showing in all the spots for now. And just take your time with that. Oops. And make that a little darker so you can see it. So now you should have sort of not a lip, I keep saying lip, an area around the top part of the mug. I'm just going to adjust this lighting a little bit. I feel like it's a little dark for all of you, so I'm going to adjust the light. And that might help a little. Okay. All right. So now we're going to look at our shapes. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the left side, and we're going to draw our first marshmallow shape. So he is cozying up right next to our mug here. So we're going to start at the bottom, like so, and then go upwards, and you're going to add your oval at the top. So we're basically making our little three-dimensional puffy marshmallow. And you can see that he is, oh, well, he's a little bit elevated. I have to make him a little bit closer down to the bottom. Also, I like to make it look like he's a little puffier, kind of at the top. And then, so it kind of goes inward a little bit. You see how it kind of bends inward. And then just like our mug, you want to make sure the bottom of him is a curved line rather than a straight line. Let me fix this oval right there. So something like that. And all of a sudden we have our first marshmallow. We'll go back after and create the details, meaning his face. Unless you want to do that now. We could do that now, actually. So you can put any kind of face on him you want, but mine is pretty happy with his tongue sticking out, because why not? He's a happy marshmallow too. Maybe he doesn't realize he's going to get eaten later on. Okay. So next up is our dripping hot chocolate. And that is going to be at the top, across the top here. So just like we did with the marshmallow, we're going to be creating shapes on top of the shapes we've already drawn. That way it's easier to envision it to be three-dimensional. So we're going to start here on the left with our first drip, and we're going to go slightly higher than the mug over here. So we're going to come down. Actually, I want to go a little bit closer to the edge here, meaning to the left. And then you're going to swing that shape out. I'm going to come a little closer here so that you can see. There we go. And I'll move this in closer. All right. So here is the drip happening. See, it's going over my original line here for the mug. And it's going to come back up. A little bit of a smaller drip. And then we come back to meet it again up here. And then you can erase the lines inside the mug so that now the drip is on top. And you may have to refix your lines after erasing. So it's going to look like that. And we're going to continue now across to create the rest of these drips. So same idea. You kind of go a little bit above sort of the mug lining here. So here's our next line. It's kind of a straight line across. And then that line's going to wiggle a bit as it goes down into the first shape of the drip. I got a little too wiggly there, so I fixed it. And a little bit more down. Go back up. And so this is the fun part. You can add as many drips as you want. You can do the same exact thing I'm doing. This drip is going towards our mug's tongue. And then we finish up the last drip here on this portion and do the same thing that we did on the other one. We erase the inside of the mug lines. And now your drip looks three-dimensional and like it is flowing from your cup here. And we're going to keep going now, right across for our almost last drip. This one's kind of hanging on the side. Falling down with some bumps in it. And we come right back up to meet it on the other side. And you guessed it, we go up to the top of the mug and erase the cup line that is now behind our drip. I'm going to make this drip a little bit bigger, a bit wider there. There we go. And maybe that part too. And then we've got some kind of drippage happening here at the bottom of our mug. All right, we've got a little bit of space in between the mug and the next drip. But then this drip is kind of at the bottom of our mug here and falling onto the table, maybe whatever our mug is resting on. And here again, once you draw that last little drip here at the bottom, you want to make sure to erase inside the drip so that the mug lines are no longer showing. And then just take your time, and if you have to clean anything up, I'm just going back and kind of redrawing some lines here. I'll make this one a little more curvy, a little more bendy. There we go. This one too. There we go. And here too. Okay. And right now it looks like we have a pretty straight-laced mug, but it's about to get silly. So you now want to go onto your mug and draw two curved lines on the left towards, or I should say right next to your marshmallow. And then you want to draw the face, which is really just, light, happy eye lines over here. And then remembering his smile, unless you want yours to be doing something different. Maybe his tooth is sticking out. I'm not sure. But I liked the idea of hot chocolate mug, thinking it's delicious for the hot chocolate to be spilling out on himself or itself. Okay. And then we're finally going to go up above here and finish off our drawing up there. And then we get to do the fun part of coloring it and making it even more lively. So we're going to start first in the front here, closest to us. So basically with our marshmallows. So we're going to start here on the left, and same idea. We're going to be drawing them three-dimensional on top of the lines that are existing right now so that they will properly sit inside our mug. So we're going to start here on the left, and our first marshmallow here is kind of on its side. And we want to draw the shapes first. And so draw the shape of your marshmallow, and then draw the next one. And we'll take care of the faces in a bit, but we just want to make sure to get in those shapes. So that next marshmallow is this shape right here. So here's our first marshmallow. Here's our other one. We haven't made anything three-dimensional yet. But if you like, you can go in at the top of the marshmallow and create the curve so that it looks three-dimensional. You can do that on both of these if you like. So now I'm going back and doing that for both of these. I'm going to start to go even closer now that we are doing the drawing. I just realized my smile for the mug, I think, is a little bit off. Needs to be a little wider. Yes. Okay, sorry. Going back to the marshmallows. I saw that and I thought, that doesn't look right. All right. So back to the marshmallows here. We've got another one popping up. He's fallen, but he is still trying to bop his marshmallow head up. And there's the shape of that marshmallow. We erase inside, and then you can draw your oval for the top of the marshmallow. Just like that. And we've got our final marshmallow that's here over on the right. And this one's sticking up outside of the mug just a bit. Again, going back down for the shape. All right, there's our shape there. And then you can also make your oval on top. I'm realizing I need to kind of make my mug area, or the opening of it, just a little bit wider. So I'm just fixing that now. Okay. All right. And we're going to finally come on over here to the left, or I should say middle left, because we're going to draw the last marshmallow, who is pretty surprised at what's happening. And we're also going to make sure to draw the top of his head as well and erase the inside lines of the mug that were there. And then if you like, you can now start to draw their faces with pencil for now, so that when we go back and ink this, you have the right spots. So we've got one marshmallow that's kind of snoozing, right? And again, you can create um, different faces if you want. This one I decided just thinks the whole thing is hilarious. So he's kind of laughing right here. And this one has some eyelashes, so I decided she was a girl marshmallow. Okay. So yes, with this drawing, you have absolutely entered my strange mind. All right, but hopefully fun. The last piece before we move on to the candy is we just want to make sure we go back over here to the left side behind this marshmallow, because we want to make sure that we add a little bit of liquid here. And that's just done with a little bit of a line like this, a curved line. So here is the mug. And then this is just the liquid that we're actually going to just fill in with either black or brown. It looks like I actually accidentally filled this in with marker on the original and should not have. Um, should have been with my brown colored pencil. So I will fix that with this one. Okay, so now we're going to be moving to the candy cane stick here. And basically that one is kind of sticking out, not straight up. So again, we have the shape first, and then you can add the stripes. I have 2 red stripes on this one. I'm going to be so in the mood for peppermint hot chocolate after this. And peppermints. I haven't bought any of that stuff yet. Okay. And then right behind our marshmallow here, the one with his mouth open, you're going to draw the stick to the peppermint lollipop here. So first we draw the stick, and then you can draw the circle. Oh, and let me go up a little bit with my camera here so you can see. So you're going to start to make a circle. But then as you get towards the bottom, you don't want to make it a complete circle because you want to start swirling that shape in the middle. And you want to keep it pretty thick. So, oops, when you get to that swirl, you want to make sure that everything is thick, like, the lollipops, and then kind of like a snail too. Kind of reminds me of a snail shell, right? Going around. And then at the top, we start to curl inward like so. And then we start to create our swirled kind of shaped candy stripes. And so as you notice, those stripes are not straight. They're bent, kind of curved. Like so. Give everybody some time to catch up or fix any lines that need fixing. I mean, we'll have another chance to do that before we start to ink, because we ink first, and then we do the coloring. And we've got our final two sweet sections. But before we do that, you do want to make sure that you add the arm of this poor marshmallow right here. Put this above. There we go. And now, so our final parts are the cinnamon stick and our candy cane. So our cinnamon stick, or two cinnamon sticks actually, are right behind this guy. And so again, if we're talking shapes, it's straight with an oval on top. And these are right next to each other. So we're going to do the same for this one. And then our candy cane is coming at an angle. And since it's a little bit off in the distance, just a little bit, it's a little bit smaller than what you would think. And actually, I need to make it a little bit higher up here. This part. And then come down. And he needs to be a little thicker. So I'm going to do that right now. That's much better. So you just kind of finesse with things until you get it the way you want. And then you're going to add curved lines, right? Because those stripes would be curving. Because our candy cane is round. And you're going to continue all the way up to the top here. Like so. Excuse me while I adjust this a bit. But my phone is kind of sitting. There we go. It's sitting a little wonky. Change that. Oops. There we go. So now is when you're ready, we can start to do the marker. And then you want to erase any pencil lines underneath your marker that are still showing. So, and you can also now fix any lines that you like, or I should say that you don't like. And just take your time in doing this part, because this is the final part. So I like to literally start on the left side and just work my way to the right and then up. That's just the way I choose to do it. And again, this is where you can fix any lines that you feel need fixing or changing anything. I like to kind of start with my drips next. And again, just take your time, because I feel like this part's really fun. Not that the drawing part isn't, because I love drawing, but there's something really nice about kind of already resolving um, the drawing part. And I think the faces are pretty fun. Oops, okay. I have to say, this guy's my favorite. The one that's like with his mouth open. I think it's so funny. It's like he's kind of freaking out. As you can tell, I really got into this when I was when I was doing it. I'm like, this guy's freaking out. This guy's asleep. Uh, okay. And finally, a lollipop here. It's funny, I just remembered this. when I was kind of designing this and I was going around doing the lollipop, I thought my hand was going to kind of go too far and it would have not made the lollipop circular and I would have had to start over. And I remember thinking, no, 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 no. It's like marker is so permanent. Okay. And when you are finished, obviously with the marker part, oops, I just realized I forgot one line. Anybody else ever do that? I always forget like at least one line when I'm, putting marker on top of pencil. And when you're ready, you can then just erase all of your pencil marks for good, and you will have a nice clean drawing in which to start coloring and making really fun. Oops, yep, I saw another line that I forgot. There we go. Okay. All right. Think I've got them all. So I like to start off with the mug. And the mug is basically yellow and then golden yellow on top with some orange. Where did I put my regular yellow? The other thing you can do if you don't have one of the colors, you can also just use one of the yellows. And basically, let me put the original here in view as well. Basically, the parts that are darker, you can just color in darker, with more pressure, and those parts are under sort of the handle, on this part of the handle. Basically, where a lot of the orange is. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So again, just giving you the choice. If you don't want to do both yellows, you can do one at a time. Or you can pick one. So what I like to do is I kind of almost, because this is marker or colored pencil and it's very kind of graphic looking, I kind of go around the parts that don't involve the mug and I kind of trace around those with the color I'm using. So this being my golden yellow because it's the darker yellow. So I just kind of trace around everything, much like, when you had coloring books. I don't know if anybody was a tracer before that. I always used to kind of trace around the black lines first and then color in. It's like it gives you a border almost. And so I do that for or on the entire mug. And then lightly color at first the whole mug. The mug is kind of the biggest piece in this. So that's the part that really just takes the most time. The rest of it, not so much. So it's like once you kind of have the mug done, the rest of it goes pretty fast, especially because we really use the white of the paper in this drawing. I'm so excited to see how these turned out. Especially, I know Jessica's children are doing this too. I can't wait to see what they look like. I just earlier today I taught at in-person Lansdale Library, and I taught a kids program. And I was just saying to some of the parents that no matter what ideas I come up with programming, the kids have me beat. It's like they they're just so creative. I always feel like I have a bit of a kid's mind. I think when you're I think anybody that's sort of creative, you're kind of kid-like and a little crazy. Hopefully in a good way. But yeah, kids are so creative. They always give me the best ideas. They always add something to it. It's neat. So now I'm going back, and I've now taken my golden yellow after the yellow, after I outlined, and I'm now going back and adding the darker parts, meaning the darker coloring parts. I first went around and traced everything with the golden yellow, then quickly kind of colored in with the light yellow. And now I'm just going back and kind of retracing a bit around the parts that are a bit darker on the mug. And then I'm going to color those in a bit more so that the white of the paper is not showing through as much. But so for instance, the pressure that I'm using for this is still a light pressure when I go in the middle of the mug, because now what I'm doing after we apply just the yellow, we now go and use the golden yellow to kind of go on top and kind of lightly even everything out. But if you look, it still looks like the mug is kind of lighter because I'm not using as much pressure when I'm coloring. Just really when I go around each of the drips and kind of underneath the smile line and even the eye lines, even though we'll go back and we're going to add orange to those too. I guess what I'm trying to say is the pressure that I'm using when I'm coloring in the mug is lighter, but I'm still filling in the space, the white space. And so you want to do that for the whole mug until it looks pretty yellow. And when you're finished with that, you can then pick up your orange, and now you can start kind of darkening those spots on the mug with the orange. So one of the first places is kind of in the back of the mug on that lip area with the orange, and then also on the inside of the mug. in the back there. Just a little bit because we want the rest of that to be brown, the brown liquid. Whereas on the right side, you want to leave this section brown. Well, right now it's white, but we're going to fill that with brown because that's the hot chocolate part. So that's kind of the first part you want to add the orange to when you're ready for the orange. And then after that, as you can see here, you can, keep looking at my sample here. The orange, and I'm going to put this up close. Basically, the orange is around the top of the mug, also around sort of the edges of the mug, and then around each of the drip areas. And then on the handle, as you can see, on the top, the bottom, and underneath on the other side. So this is out for your viewing pleasure as you're starting to color. So I do the same thing with the orange that I did with the yellow. I kind of trace around the parts that I'm going to add the orange. It's kind of like I'm guiding it. And then I'll go back and make those spots a bit thicker and darker. But for now, I'm just kind of laying out those parts. The other parts I forgot that are orange are the lines, the eyes, the curved lines of the eyes on the mug, and the mouth. So basically, just giving it a bit of a shadow, sort of like underneath the mouth and underneath each of the curved lines of the eyes. Just adding a little bit of shadow there. And then, like I said, now I'm going to go back on top of the mug and just thicken up some of the shaded areas. Oh, and also right around this little marshmallow guy too. Yeah, he's kind of got a shadow around near him and the lines as well. And if you want to add some in the mug, maybe you want to add some more shading with the orange, maybe on either side of the mugs or mug, like here. There would basically be some shading, lighter shading on either side as it goes toward the middle of his face here. So if you want to add a little more shading on either side, you can do that. I didn't, but if you want to, you can. And so now just going back and adding a little more darker shading with the orange around each section. Sometimes I even go back later on, I take a look at it and I thicken up even more the sections. But for now, I kind of like that. And moving on to the handle area. And remember to make it darker underneath the mug, where the handle is kind of flipping. And then also towards the bottom of the handle as well. And when you're ready, you can put your orange down. And I like to grab my red because the red are the color of the tongues of the marshmallow and your mug. So I like to kind of color those and then start getting into the stripes, which basically the stripes are going to be darker pressure on one side. Usually I do it on the left side. In this one I did. So I kind of apply, darker pressure. And then as I go across that stripe, I get lighter. So I'm going to move in really close now. Oops. So that you can see. So basically, here is my darker side. And then as I move across, my shading gets lighter. And then I darken up again on the right side because this shape is turning. It has volume. And usually the light would hit in the middle of the shape, and that's what's happening here, right? And so the two sides would be darker. And you're going to do that for the candy cane as well. And what I like to do is I like to kind of go in and kind of prep my candy cane because the stripes are very easy to color all the same color by accident. And so I like to go in and I kind of color in darker with the red on down the one side of the candy cane because I know that's got to be darker. And then I can just now go back. Nice, Debbie. Great minds think alike. Yep. And then I kind of color it in light, and then I'll even go back and just shade a little more. Pressure wise, going back and just making it a little darker, coloring it in a little more closer to the left side of the stripe is what I mean. And obviously as the stripe goes around, it's not only the left side anymore, it's sort of the top. So that's fine. And you're going to do the same thing, obviously, around the lollipop one. Except making the darker area kind of where it comes to a point, and then in the middle of that, shading lighter. And then same thing with this one, meaning the lollipop. I like to kind of go around all of the sides of the stripes with a little darker. And then the inside, make a little bit lighter. Hi, Helen. We're just finishing up. I know you just got back from your book club. Helen attended her book club this evening and said, I really want to do this, but I wait for the recording. But welcome. And you can see that we are finishing on the finishing parts of this. And once you do your red stripes, you do the same thing with the marshmallows and also the blue in the candy cane type things. Thanks, Helen. Yeah, I think this one was a really nice change. I know I have you guys do a lot of realistic stuff. So, thanks to Jessica for picking this. I think it's a really fun, it's a fun one. So the same thing applies, like I mentioned, to kind of the blue parts or white, I should say the white parts of the candy. The blue is the shadowing, right? So usually again, going toward the outer edge and maybe the inner edge of each part of the stripe. And then making sure with this one to really leave the middle of each of the white areas, um, the white of the paper. And then with the marshmallows, same thing. The blue is really just your shading, just a little bit. So on each of the marshmallows, really just one side, and it's not even dark blue, like you're kind of shading rather light. I usually do the tops of the heads or the tops of the marshmallows. I'm acting like these are real marshmallow people. So I usually do the tops slightly darker, but again, these are white, and just like snow, there's blue in snow, there's blue, a lot of blue in white. There's also pinks and purples when it comes to snow, and that's the effect of that the sun has, the light has on snow, on anything white. But next time you're kind of looking at something white, really look at it and see if you can see some colors in it. Mainly, like I said, blue and purple. It's not really gray. Gray and black don't really, they don't, they kind of exist, but they're also a combination of other colors. So when you're finished with your blue, our final part is with the brown, and it's really the same idea that we've been doing. First, you want to make sure to color in the brown in your hot chocolate mug on the right side. There should be a little strip there, or a little part there that has a part for you to do that. And then in your cinnamon sticks, same thing. I go on the left side of each cinnamon stick and make it a little darker, and then lightly shade the rest of it, just kind of really quickly, so that it looks a little more realistic. And then you're going to do the same with your chocolate spilling. I tend to kind of shade it light first, and then also kind of create some white bubble areas by leaving the white of the paper in like a bubble shape. So I'll literally go around with my brown, shade in a lot of the drips, but also leave a part of the paper, the white part of the paper around. So I basically shade around each drip with my brown, and I'm going really light right now, just to kind of show you. Again, it's kind of like I'm outlining it, but I'm doing it with shading. And then I leave a little spot that's the white of the paper. Sometimes, like in this one, I leave 2 spots, kind of like one down here. And then the drip at the bottom is really, I just make that one kind of dark and fill that in. So we are almost finished here. You just want to go back and, make some parts darker on your chocolate drips here. And the parts that I like to make darker are the parts that when the drip is kind of overflowing over the cup, make that dark. And then in the drip part itself, because when liquid starts to drip, it kind of congeal isn't the right term. I guess what I'm trying to say is it pools, right? Like pool, Pool. Um, and so more liquid kind of stays in that part, so it's darker a lot of the times. So that's where you want to go and make the parts of your drips darker. And you can kind of see me doing that here. Again, it's really kind of along the edges of each of the drips. And in about another minute, I would love to see what everybody's looks like. I usually go back later and make it a little darker. But I like to go light at first. But if you want to go light right away as you're coloring this, that's okay too. And I didn't mention, the part at the bottom, which I think you can probably do on your own, is really just sort of a shadowing under there. And I just used blue for that. That was pretty, that's pretty easy to do. But there is our cute mug of happy hot chocolate. And I'm going to stop the recording. Let's see. Oh, let me check the chat here for a second. Oh, okay. Wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And so I'm going to stop the recording.